You thought reality TV was messy. Baby, that was just the trailer. Because what just went down in that courtroom? It makes Love and Hip Hop look like a Disney Channel special. Chrissy Lampkin. Yes, the Chrissy just suffered a full-blown mascara smearing, world-crashing breakdown right there in front of the judge, the jury, and let's not forget the cameras. But here's the twist. It wasn't some emotional outburst. No, ma'am. This was the consequence of secrets she thought would never see the light of day. Finally clawing their way into the spotlight. And leading the charge. None other than Camron. Yup. Harlem's pink fur-wearing legend himself just flipped the entire courtroom on its head. And he didn't even raise his voice. All he had to do was drop the briefcase. What's in it? Oh, just receipts that could bury an empire. Expose embezzlement, torch reputations, and send folks scrambling for legal counsel. Hidden recordings, leaked texts, and a voice note that'll make your jaw hit the floor. Chrissy thought she had the game locked. Turns out she was just the next headline. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear, it's not just tea. It's a whole damn tsunami. They thought she was untouchable. Chrissy Lampkin, the unshakable queen of reality TV. The woman who made chaos look like class and drama look like confidence. Just had her entire world flipped upside down in a courtroom. That was supposed to be routine. Cameras were already out. Fans lined up outside hoping to catch a glimpse of the woman who once defined the term power couple. But what they didn't know was that behind those blacked-out sunglasses and flawless lace front was a woman, seconds away from public collapse. It wasn't some emotional outburst or minor embarrassment. No, this was Chrissy unraveling in front of legal teams, media outlets, and the one man she never thought would pull the rug out from under her, Camron. And he didn't show up with petty words or old grudges. He showed up with proof, receipts, documents, digital bombs that had the courtroom scrambling and Chrissy spiraling. The second he walked in, the energy changed. No one knew what he had, but you could feel it was about to hit different. Chrissy was still trying to play it cute, like she had everything under control. But you can't outwalk what's waiting for you in a sealed briefcase. That's not just drama. That's danger. From the jump, court was too quiet. The judge entered, lawyers shuffled papers, and for a second you'd think it was just another civil case. But then that silver briefcase slid across the prosecution's table like a missile. No words, no dramatic music. Just that quiet, deliberate metal click as they opened it and pulled out a black flash drive marked with a single word, Chrissy. That's when she flinched, just slightly, but enough. The flash drive went into the laptop, the screen flickered on, and the courtroom turned into a theater of secrets. First came the texts, dozens of threads from deleted group chats, coded. Exchanges, Cash App requests under fake names. Burner numbers registered to aliases, all linking back to one person, Chrissy. Everyone leaned forward, trying to make sense of what they were seeing, but it was the voice note that took the air out of the room. Her voice, raw, furious, and ruthless, played on the speakers loud and clear. I don't care what he signed. If Jim goes down, I'm not going alone. I made this whole thing. I'll bury them all if I have to. Nobody moved. Not even a cough. It was the kind of silence that screams. It's the kind that says we just heard something we weren't supposed. 2. Chrissy's hands froze. Her lawyer whispered something, but she didn't respond. All eyes were on her, and she knew it. But it wasn't over. The prosecution dropped the next file, this time a silent video clip. Security footage from a private Miami hotel suite, time-stamped, clear angle, no edits. There she was, pacing in heels, phone in one hand, gesturing wildly. You could see the stress all over her face as she shouted, Cam flipped. I told you, if he talks, it's over. I'll bring down Dipset, VH1, all of it. Okay, that one line hit. Like a hammer. People in the back gasped. Even the judge raised his hand to quiet the reactions. Chrissy's glam was still on point, but her face was drained, her lip trembling, and her jaw locked like she was trying to hold in the scream of a woman watching her empire fall in real time. And Cam, he didn't blink. Just sat back, arms crossed, completely unmoved. It's like a man watching the truth finally cash its check. What most people didn't know, and what the media never reported, was that Cam and Chrissy weren't just industry acquaintances. They were practically family back in the early 2000s, way before the red carpets and stage TV moments. They broke bread, but in 2018, something snapped. The real estate deal went sideways. Money disappeared, and according to anonymous sources, Cam was iced out of a six-figure payout. He went silent. No rants, no tweets, no threats. Just silence. The dangerous kind. The kind that plans, and that plan. Apparently, it started the moment he got cut from the deal. That's when he began collecting emails, contracts, recordings, screenshots, all of it. And now it was spilling out across the courtroom like gasoline. It didn't stop with financials. One file revealed a shady empowerment foundation Chrissy launched 3 years ago that claimed to support single mothers with housing grants and business training. Sounds noble, right? Except there's no record of a single family ever receiving a dime. What did exist was a trail of luxury purchases, five-figure fashion buys, first-class flights, PR payments, and personal stylists. The foundation's account almost empty. Chrissy's image is elevated to red carpet royalty. IRS agents were reportedly reviewing every transaction. And one insider claimed she used the nonprofit as her personal ATM. Then came the NDA. Not just some vague legal form. We're talking about a multi-page, bullet-pointed, signed agreement between Chrissy, Jim, and Cam. The contents? Confidentiality terms over a physical altercation, hidden recording devices, and hush money. Real hush money. Thousands exchanged in cash, no digital footprint, or so they thought. Cam's team had the scanned pages, even the notary stamp. Chrissy's attorney objected, saying it was irrelevant to the current proceedings, but the judge disagreed. The courtroom doors didn't even need to be locked. Nobody was leaving. That's when Chrissy cracked. She leaned forward, whispered something shaky to her attorney, and then the breakdown began. Not the TV version. Not the edited tears with background music. No, this was real. Lip trembling, eyes red, mascara smearing, hands shaking. She covered her face, but the cameras caught it. Caught her whispering. He wasn't supposed to go this far. She was sinking. Cam remained frozen, almost like he'd been waiting for that moment since the day she cut him out. And if you thought that was the end, you'd be wrong, 'cause the prosecution had more. A full financial breakdown submitted by an anonymous whistleblower. Allegedly a former assistant who helped process invoices and who claimed Chrissy diverted love and hip-hop production funds into a personal beauty brand that never actually launched. Lavish hotel stays were billed as business retreats. Personal birthday parties passed off as influencer events. One invoice showed a $22,000 media placement that allegedly covered a yacht party with no press at all. That assistant, now working for a rival network, is reportedly ready to testify. Social media exploded the second the leak went public. Twitter threads broke it down line by line. TikTokers made 20-part conspiracy series. Instagram blogs tore into her like sharks. In a feeding frenzy, some people defended her, but the tide shifted fast. Comments poured in saying they always knew something was off. That the polished look, the attitude, the power moves, it was all just smoke hiding the fire. Even verified industry insiders chimed in. One music producer tweeted, "This is why you don't hand budget control to talent who think drama is a business model." Another posted, "Reality TV royalty. Nah, this is embezzlement with a glam team." And as the world watched, Chrissy's name crumble under the weight of leaked truths. The courtroom grew quieter. Her lawyer tried to delay the hearing, claiming emotional distress, but the judge waved it off, because the court didn't care about feelings, it cared about facts. and the facts were piling up like bricks around her. Chrissy sat frozen eyes, wide, barely blinking. The cameras didn't cut. The audience didn't move. And Cam, he just sat there, still cold, still calm, like he already knew what the next file was going to reveal. The courtroom was still thick with tension when the next exhibit hit the screen. And this time, even the bailiff looked confused. It was a wire transfer log, but not just any basic banking trail. This one showed money bouncing across multiple states, slipping through shell companies, and finally disappearing into an offshore account listed under a name that didn't even sound real. But the date on the file, it matched exactly with the timeline of Chrissy's infamous Turks and Caicos business trip. The one that was posted all over Instagram with designer bikinis, champagne toasts, and a caption about celebrating growth. Growth, it turns out, funded by a ghost account. And then came the voicemail. Raw, panicked, and impossible to deny. Chrissy's voice unfiltered, practically screaming, "I told you to use the ghost account, not the F connection. Now they're tracing it." The courtroom shifted like someone had pulled the floor out from under them. 'Cause that name? F connection. It wasn't just some throwaway line. Prosecutors froze the frame, zoomed in on the metadata. And suddenly the courtroom wasn't dealing with TV drama anymore. This had federal fingerprints written all over it. Nobody said it directly, but the murmurs started fast. Was that code? For a known associate, was Chrissy laundering money through fake companies using reality TV budgets as a cover? One attorney leaned into the mic and asked the judge for immediate subpoena access to 2 Atlanta-based corporations allegedly tied to Chrissy's team, both registered under anonymous P.O. boxes, both sharing the same IP access location log just miles from her production team's offices. That wasn't a coincidence. That was structure. And in legal terms, structure is the beginning of a criminal pattern. RICO territory. The kind of stuff the feds don't just watch, they pounce. And before anyone could digest that, the doors opened quietly. No fanfare, no announcement. Just 3 men in black suits with federal badges clipped to their belts. They didn't say a word, just walked to the bench and handed the judge a sealed envelope. That was the moment Chrissy broke. Her composure shattered like glass. She didn't cry this time. She just stared, completely frozen, like she had finally realized this wasn't just a bad day. It was the beginning of the end. Still, no one expected what happened next. As the judge called for a 10-minute recess, the courtroom scattered like a shaken beehive. Lawyers on phones, reporters rushing to tweet updates, and in the middle of all that chaos, the back door cracked open again. And in walked the one person who never stays quiet. Mama Jones, dressed like she had come for war, clutching a thick manila folder and a Bluetooth headset like she was about to deliver breaking news herself. She didn't glance at Chrissy, didn't smile, didn't wave. She walked straight past the media and into the private witness room like she had been waiting for this exact moment. Security didn't stop her. Even the judge looked the other way. And just before the door shut behind her, someone heard her say it loud, clear, care, and deadly. "Tell them what you did, Chrissy, or I will." Now, if you know anything about the long, bitter war between Mama Jones and Chrissy, you already know that wasn't just some heated exchange. That was a promise, a threat, a dagger laced with years of unresolved rage. And what no one outside knew yet was that manila folder. It wasn't empty. It allegedly contained proof of a backdoor deal Chrissy made in 2017, selling partial rights to one of Jim's unreleased music catalogs to a private Atlanta investor. But here's the kicker. That catalog wasn't even hers to touch. It was registered to Jim fully. No cosigns, no power of attorney. According to a leaked email that hit the gossip blogs moments after Mama Jones entered the room, Chrissy had tried to convince a VH1 producer to cut all of Mama's scenes from season 4 in exchange for $50,000 under the table, all because Mama had threatened to go public with that music deal secret. Now, there was nothing left to hide. Back in court, Camron returned to his seat, calm, collected, still looking like the man who knew every card in the deck. And just as everyone settled back into their places, the prosecution hit play on one last audio recording, another voicemail. It's one dated March 2020. Chrissy again, but this time her voice was trembling. "Where's the wire? I told you to run it through the ghost chain, not the F-link. Now they're flagging it, shut it down." The entire room gasped. Two references to the same shady network. Two separate financial trails. The judge paused. Then he leaned into the mic and said just one word: subpoenas. The lawyers looked like they aged 10 years in 10 seconds. Chrissy's face was drained of all color. Her team scrambled behind her, whispering, passing notes. But it was too late. The bomb had dropped. And while she sat there still trying to process the collapse of her public image, the doors opened once again. This time, it wasn't a Fed. It wasn't Cam. It wasn't Mama Jones. It was Jim Jones himself. And the courtroom nearly stopped breathing. He didn't come in loud. No flashy outfit, no gold chains. Just a hoodie, dark shades, and the look of a man who had been up all night. He walked straight to Mama Jones, whispered something in her ear, and then turned to Chrissy. For a split second, she looked relieved. She reached out, tried to grab his hand, but Jim pulled away, leaned down, and said something just loud enough for the front row to hear. "You lied to me for years, and now the feds know everything." The room went dead silent. Chrissy didn't even try to recover. Her hand dropped, her shoulders slumped. Mama Jones looked away. Jim walked out. And just like that, the illusion of the power couple shattered. The love story that had once dominated VH1 headlines had officially flatlined. Outside the courthouse, social media exploded with clips of the moment Jim rejected her. TikTok flooded with side-by-side edits of their engagement scene, and now this. Her reaching, him walking away. Instagram blogs were vicious. Chrissy cooked herself. One post read, "This is beyond TV. This is jail time." Another claimed. Twitter was on fire. Verified accounts chimed in. A music exec tweeted, "This is why we always say keep your brand separate from your personal life. Because when it crashes everything." Even reality stars who once stood beside Chrissy began to quietly unfollow her. And if that wasn't enough to finish her, what happened next was the nail in the coffin. The prosecution submitted one final exhibit, an anonymous statement from someone claiming to be a former executive producer at VH1. The document was short but brutal. It alleged that Chrissy routinely bribed editing teams to manipulate how she appeared on screen, requesting that arguments, verbal threats, and even alleged moments of physical aggression be removed. In exchange, she promised them high-level brand hookups, influencer introductions, and invites to exclusive events. One line read, "Chrissy weaponized every man around her, from castmates to editors, to build an image that never really existed." The judge read it aloud line by line. Chrissy didn't say a word. The court fell into a strange kind of silence. The kind that only happens when something irreversible just occurred. The judge didn't rule on anything yet. Instead, he set a new date, a formal investigation hearing to begin the following Friday. Till then, Chrissy was ordered to surrender her passport, avoid all media appearances, and refrain from discussing the case publicly. She didn't even argue, just nodded slowly, numb, empty, lost. She turned to reach for her lawyer, but he was already deep in conversation with the prosecution. She looked to Mama Jones, who turned her back. She tried again to make eye contact with Jim, but he was gone. The cameras caught it all. And just when it seemed like everything had settled, a voice from the hallway echoed through the chambers like a final dagger. Loud, unapologetic, and all too familiar. "Oh, now you quiet. But you had all that mouth when it was me in the hot seat." It was Yandy. And she wasn't just there for show. You could hear a pin drop after Yandy's voice sliced through the hallway. And Chrissy, already trembling, mascara smudged like a fallen queen, didn't even turn around. She didn't have to. That voice, loud, sharp, and unbothered, had lived rent-free in her head for years. But this wasn't just a reunion. This wasn't a love and hip-hop moment edited for TV ratings. This was real life, and Yandy wasn't holding back. She stepped into that courtroom like she was entering the ring. No cameras needed. She wasn't wearing drama. She was the drama. And from the look in her eyes, she didn't come to witness Chrissy's downfall. She came to finish what Cam started. Word inside the courthouse was that Yandy had been sitting on receipts for years, waiting for the day Chrissy finally slipped. And now, with the court files wide open, the feds circling like vultures, and Jim emotionally gone, Yandy brought her own folder to the fire. What's in it? According to one legal intern who accidentally leaked a courtroom text thread, Yandy's evidence allegedly included screenshots of financial offers Chrissy made to key crew members during production of the show, offers to cut specific cast members out of storylines, tamper with footage, and shift editing priority to make her the sympathetic victim. And guess whose name kept popping up as a target? Yandy. The courtroom buzzed, whispers turning into gasps as the clerk confirmed Yandy had indeed submitted a sealed supplement to the case file. And just like that, the courtroom shifted again. Chrissy was no longer just facing Cam and his data. She now had to face someone who knew her game from the inside. The prosecution didn't even need to warm up. It went straight for the jugular. Exhibit 47. A string of emails sent between Chrissy and a now retired UH1 segment producer discussing the Yandy problem. Phrases like edit her down, don't give her a hero arc, and we'll offer them exclusives if they cut her confessionals were highlighted in bright yellow. Chrissy's defense tried to argue it was just reality TV politics. The judge wasn't buying it. This wasn't just petty drama. This was character manipulation, influence peddling, and possibly fraud if any money exchanged hands to alter public-facing narratives. And then, just when Chrissy's team thought it couldn't get worse, the next file dropped. A contract between Chrissy and a now-defunct PR firm that included a $30,000 retainer to redirect online attacks and increase public sympathy via controlled leaks. The timeline matched exactly with when Yandy was being dragged across blogs over a custody battle storyline. Translation: Chrissy allegedly paid to have her rival humiliated in public and then cried victim when it all blew up. Yandy didn't have to say anything. Her face said it all. That smirk, that crossed-arm stance, that silent "I told y'all" energy radiating louder than any outburst ever could. And while Chrissy tried to hold her chin up, the cracks in her armor were undeniable. She blinked fast, sniffled, clenched her fists, but the damage had already been done. And then came the absolute dagger. A deposition from an ex-cast stylist who claimed Chrissy once demanded that Yandy's wardrobe for a reunion episode be toned down, allegedly saying, "I need her to look like she shops at the clearance rack." The stylist provided screenshots of text convos, voice memos, even receipts where expensive pieces were pulled at the last minute and swapped with generic fits. Petty? Yes. Illegal? No. But manipulative? Calculated? Without a doubt. The courtroom wasn't reacting like it was watching a trial. It was reacting like it was watching the finale of a scandal no one saw coming. And outside, it was worse. Twitter threads were getting longer. YouTube was flooded with the fall of Chrissy Lampkin exposes. TikTokers were breaking down her old interviews frame by frame, searching for signs of guilt. One creator posted a 12-part series titled "The Reality Queen Who Played Everyone." And the views? Millions, because the public loves a queen. But they live for her downfall back inside. The judge called the room to order as Chrissy's lawyer made one last desperate attempt to delay proceedings. But the judge shook his head. Time was up. What started as a quiet court appearance had turned into a media inferno. and the law wasn't going to wait for her PR team to catch up. And if there was any shred of dignity left for Chrissy, it vanished. The moment the judge read out the court's temporary order, effective immediately, all of Chrissy's financial assets were frozen pending further investigation. That meant no access to the empowerment fund, no PR payouts, no business accounts, and no luxury lifestyle. Her phone buzzed. She looked down. The color drained from her face. Some say it was her manager. Others say it was a friend telling her she'd been dropped by a brand collab. Either way, the message was clear, doors were closing. Fast and still. Cam sat there, unfazed. Arms folded, legs crossed, like a man who knew he wasn't just watching the show, he was the show. He hadn't said a single word on the record, but his evidence screamed louder than any testimony could. And when the judge dismissed the session, the room emptied in slow, awkward silence. Chrissy didn't stand right away. She stared at the table like she was still trying to process how the empire she built with reality. TV moments and high-gloss branding collapsed in one afternoon. Mama Jones left without speaking. Jim was already gone. Yandi walked past her without a glance, and Chrissy. She didn't cry this time. She just sat there, eyes wide, frozen. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was regret. Or maybe she finally realized that she was the architect of her own destruction. Outside, chaos erupted. Reporters shouting questions, fans yelling in disbelief, bloggers already uploading reaction videos from the parking lot. One influencer was live streaming in real time, calling it the most dramatic court moment since Cardi threw her shoe. And just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, the feds released a public statement, confirming that they were actively investigating offshore accounts tied to Chrissy's name. No charges yet, but the tone was ominous. And that was all the public needed. Forums lit up. Reddit was on fire. Okay, old castmates started posting cryptic messages. One wrote, "Karma, don't miss." Another simply posted, "I kept my mouth shut for years, but it's coming out now." The industry turned cold overnight. Bookings canceled. Sponsors vanished. The woman who once controlled the narrative was now the face of a scandal spiraling. Out of control, and the scariest part. Sources close to the case claimed this was just the beginning. That the files Cam handed over were part 1 of 3. That there were still videos, emails, maybe even voice recordings the court hadn't seen. Yet, whispers about tax fraud, hush money, linked to other celebrities, and a mystery figure nicknamed the consultant who allegedly helped Chrissy move money and scrub digital trails. It was no longer just a reality TV takedown. It was shaping up to be a federal-level investigation that could pull in networks, producers, and brands that once stood beside her. And while Chrissy was escorted to a private vehicle with a towel over her head, trying to hide from the flashing cameras and screaming headlines, the world already knew. So now the question is, was this just reality TV gone too far? Or has Chrissy Lampkin been playing everyone from the jump? Camron didn't just bring drama, he brought receipts, hard drives, voice notes, and court-approved chaos. And let's be honest, nobody expected the queen of designer shade and rooftop toasts to end up under FBI surveillance, fighting for her image like a badly written storyline. But here we are. One courtroom, one messy legacy, and a public that's eating it all up like Sunday tea. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Is Chrissy guilty of everything that's been exposed? Or is she just the fall girl in a bigger power play? Was Cam just settling old beef? Or did he save the industry from a queen pin in stilettos? And what about Jim? Was he clueless, complicit, or just done? Drop your hottest theories in the comments, because at this point, it feels like everyone has a piece of this puzzle. If this breakdown had your jaw on the floor like it had ours, don't just sit there, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and make sure your notifications are on. Because this rabbit hole is far from closed. More tea is boiling, more evidence is leaking. And you already know when the truth comes out. We'll be right here with the popcorn receipts. And the next scandal that's about to blow up the internet. Stay tuned. This isn't just viral. This is history in the making. In the making.